People of Reddit, what was the most NSFW event you ever stumbled upon in high school? I'm very sure some guy will make a video about this post with a robotic voice. We always threw house parties at my friend's house. One day I went to grab my jacket from one of the rooms, and I heard some moaning and groaning, so I thought it was just a couple hooking up. I flipped the lights on because I couldn't find my jacket, and saw that 3 of the track girls were butt naked, finger banging and eating each other out. Instead of just standing there, and watching, or trying to participate, my nerdy high school self said hi, waved, and said have fun. As I walked out giving them privacy. Later on that year, I ended up dating one of the girls, and would always try to mention it, and maybe try to get a threesome going. Never happened though. She said it was just a drunk moment. When I was in middle school, someone jerked off and finished on his desk in the middle of class. The story is legend in our area, and it's been retold so many times that it's hard to figure out what actually happened after he finished. So I'll give you each ending I've heard from different people. 1. He finished and it shot across his desk onto the girl's hair in front of him. 2. The teacher heard something happening, went over, and saw it on the desk and put her finger in it. 3. He just cummed over himself, and got kicked out of class. He got suspended and a few years later got caught peeing outside, and put on the sex offenders list. The guy is really funny and pretty chill now. He has a lot of stories about him and they're all amazing. I went to a boarding school my freshman year of high school, and a few weeks in, I volunteered to help walk our librarian's dog for her while her leg was healing after an injury. So I was walking this huge dog through the woods around campus when he suddenly sniffed the air and just ripped the leash out of my hands, and took off into the underbrush. I started chasing after him. When I heard screaming and yelling, I thought, oh god, this dog mauled someone, and I'm going to get expelled. Broke through a clearing and there were 5 half-naked upperclassmen trying to put their clothes on, and scatter while this dog is joyously barking and jumping up on, and licking them. DLDR accidentally interrupted an orgy in the woods with my librarian's dog. Edit, I guess since so many people are asking, yes it was a co-ed school and yes both sexes were represented. Not really NSFW, just my most vivid high school memory. It was the biggest poop I'd ever seen. Just one huge log, to my memory the size of the toilet bowl. It definitely didn't fit down the hole and had to be removed by a janitor. Everyone told their friends about it, and one by one we all went and checked it out. Also no toilet paper in the bowl. All that was there was the one big fat legendary turd. It physically hurts me to think about how it came out of a butthole. Edit, I would just like to add that I am touched and humbled by all of your poo-related stories. In this time of division and opposition, let us all remember we are united by poo. Freshman year of high school, football team is out practicing. A senior varsity player came into the freshman locker room, cut all the locks off our lockers, and stole our clothes. Nice enough to take wallets and phones etc. out of pockets and leave them in the lockers though. Idiot didn't realize the hallway cameras had him the whole time. Most of us chose not to shower until we got home, and as a team proceeded to leave in groups in undershirts and boxers, or no shirts and boxers after getting a call our rides were there. Small town, small school, so ultimately he was just benched for a few games, suspended for a day or two, and his parents had to buy a bunch of padlocks. Edit, rip inbox, thanks so much, we'll try to get to some comments. We had many PCs in our school, and every computer room had a projector. So once when the teacher was ill and no replacement came, we were in that room. Someone started the projector, and quickly found out that every porn site he tried is blacklisted. But playing from USB apparently works fine. We later found out, not only are the connections whitelisted, but also fully monitored. Not long after the movie show with sound and everything started, the IT tech guy comes with a substitute teacher. That internet search history was apparently enough for them to suddenly have a substitute teacher for us. Edit. For anyone interested, we were around 16 or 18 males IRC and 4 girls in class. I can't remember how many were there that day. Walked into a bathroom after school, and found a guy and a girl about to go to town. She had her shirt off and skirt up, he had his pants on. I mean, I caught them just before the moment of insertion. I said nothing. I would have left them to it, except all other bathrooms on campus except this one were always locked shortly before last bell. So I silently walked to a urinal, calmly did my business, properly washed my hands. By the time I went to leave, the girl was hiding in a stall and the guy was waiting by the door. I shrugged at the guy shrugged back, I left and heard the door locked behind me. Not one of us said anything or made a sound during the entire exchange. Edit, for everyone calling it a power move, I appreciate it, but I just didn't want to have to pee in the bushes. What happens in the locker room should stay in the locker room. With that said, I once walked in on a kid shoving a crucifix up his ass on a dare from his friends. As a teenage boy, if I would have worn a thin pair of shorts going commando, I would have got an instant boner. If I would have got to the point I could do it without getting a boner, the rain would have added a whole new element and I still would have got a boner. Basically, everyone would know what my penis would look like fully erect. Edit, thank you kind stranger for the gold. This was junior high, but one kid who we suspected was gay, gave another kid who we did not suspect was gay a blowjob in the bathroom stall. And for what? A holofoil Clefairy Pokemon card. Not me specifically. But two kids in my Catholic high school f***ed in the bathroom and someone caught them and videotaped it. They posted it online. Our school made the news and now they measure girls' skirts if they look too high, as well as banning phones. In middle school some kids walked in and started having sex in the stall next to me while I was pooping. Eventually they smelled my presence. Gotta assert your dominance. This is NSFW in a different way than most of the stories here, but when I was in high school I liked to go to the balcony of our theater to take naps during my free periods. It was dark, quiet, and usually empty, which made it such an ideal spot for napping. One day I walk up the stairs and see a girl from the grade below me that I sort of knew cutting herself with scissors. She freaked out and ran away. I eventually caught up with her and we had an intense conversation. We became friends after that day and I encouraged her to start seeing a therapist, which helped her a lot. Unfortunately, we lost touch when her parents moved to a different state and sent her to some boarding school. Went to teacher's room to get some papers that my Portuguese teacher had forgotten, and stumbled at my gym and biology teachers kissing each other really hard over the meeting table. I mean, they didn't even notice me. And oh, it was a Catholic school, and they were both married by the way. My face when I returned to class without the papers must have been priceless. Edit, I'm usually more of a lurker myself here, so wasn't expecting this amount of attention. Ha ha ha, thanks for all folks, hope you've liked it. Some kid at a party got blackout wasted and shat himself. In the middle of the crowd he took his pants down and slipped in it, proceeded to army crawl to try and make it out but just smeared it everywhere. He is still known as the party pooper. Okay, 2 stories, one NSFW, but still messed up. Janitor in elementary school died while mopping the floor, and somehow this didn't get around the entire school and my entire class saw them taking his covered up body out the front door. Another is walking in on several people giving BJs in the bandroom. It became a daily thing and I should have known to also knock on the practice room doors before entering. Fresh jizz on a locker room bench. A kid pulled his pants down in Spanish class and pissed in the corner. A kid with a mental handicap who would vigorously masturbate in AP Political Science at least once a week. Edit. One day in AP Poli Sci, the kid with Asperger's sat alone in a row of empty chairs all closely placed together directly in front of the teacher. In the middle of class, he reclined across 4 adjacent seats and went to work in his pants. At my angle, I could see everything. The tent. His forearm was toning up and down. The veins in his neck. He stuck out his tongue and curled his toes, taunting us like that for 5, maybe 10 seconds, before the teacher shouted at him. This kid did weird shit, but he was in a number of my AP classes and, I think, legitimately earned his way. He carried our team's ass in AP Brit Lit junior year during in-class Jeopardy games. And way too many of you shared this pissing in Spanish class experience for us to be in the same class. What's going on out there? No one thought it would be a bad idea for the cross-country team to have thin white uniforms until we had a race in a thunderstorm. So many flashbacks of penises swaying with each stride. In band before a football game, I walk into the percussion room to hang with the homies. Everyone is huddled around this dude in the corner of the room laughing, so of course I walk over to check it out. Turns out the dude was showing everyone how tiny his dick is and everyone was so fascinated. Yeah, it was really small. Like from the tip of your pinky to the first knuckle down. I've never seen anything like it, lol. Edit, I know it called a micropenis. LMFAO. Went to a Christian boarding school. You'd be surprised the amount of fingers in vaginas during chapel. My high school had to ban blankets after 2 freshmen were caught having sex under one in the middle of the art hallway. Me and 3 others found a sex dungeon underneath the auditorium in the back storage room. The girl who ran it was a junior who fucked a good portion of the football team there. There was a bucket-filled quarterway with used condoms. Fun day. I was a dildo peddler for a while at school. Girls who wanted sex toys but didn't want to buy them themselves, or couldn't, would pay me the cost and a bit extra for me to get it for them simply because I had no shame as a 17-year-old. Legend has it that a guy in my sophomore or junior year used to sit next to his GF and get handjobs during English class. Not me, but a friend of mine who was yearbook photographer. She was a real thin, awkward, geeky high schooler and was asked to photograph a day in the life of the swim team. Our school had the football fever and so other sports were always trying to get more than a few mentions in the yearbook packed with dozens of football shots. So my friend showed up to the swim team practice, and later state tournament. She was asked to join them at their victory party, which was at someone's house with its own pool and hot tub. When she got there, most of the team was already drunk, and not an adult in sight. There were also a lot of girlfriends of the team there, and more than once, my friend was asked to join them naked in the hot tub. Sex was pretty freely flowing, and she strived constantly to get acceptable photos instead of the wanton depravity around her. At one point, some naked girl was chugging while she was in the cowboy position screwing on top of her boyfriend while everyone cheered her on. They kept begging my friend to take photos, and she refused in horrified shock. Some of the guys got really handsy with her until finally she picked a time when they were distracted, and she left. She later was crying to her best friend because she felt so stressed out and it was nothing like she expected. Sort of like showing a 10-year-old Caligula when they were expecting Toy Story 2. Only one photo made it to yearbook from that party, a hot tub photo where she had to crop out the beer keg, and everyone's body was below the waterline so you couldn't tell they were naked. A freshman got jerked off by his girlfriend under the table in the cafeteria, during lunch. Someone sitting near them noticed was happening, took a video, and posted it online. The administration quickly found out, the video was taken down, and all 3 involved were suspended. We had to go outside for a physics experiment, but on the way from the classroom to the field, there was a bloody trail, because a girl had just been stabbed in the bathroom and run to the nurse. She'd moved to the country less than a month prior, gotten mixed up with some shady people, and a 14-year-old hid in the bathroom stall before jumping out and trying to stab her in the face. She put her arms up and only had superficial injuries, but she never came back. Poor girl had PTSD last time I checked. 8th grade sex ed, teacher showed us a video of a woman giving birth. Very close shots, very graphic, very disturbing to most 8th graders. Weird kid in the class ducks his arms into his shirt and starts jerking off to the fully dilated vagina being shown on the 200-inch projector screen. I ran cross country in high school. Sometimes during practice we would run through trails in the woods surrounding the high school. One day right after school ended we started running down the trails and stumbled upon 2 students having sex. Judging by their reactions I don't think they were expecting a group of 15 guys to run by while they were getting it on. High school bus hit a deer. Police were called. Deer was shot 3 times in front of the bus to put it down. Watched it from the parking lot while skipping school. Used condom left wrapped around the tap on the sink in the boys' toilets. A week later it was still there. A month later there was another one next to it. We had a girl who would sit in the back of the bus and seemed to always have a different dude sit next to her. Turns out she was giving guys hand jobs for a small price. I walked into a bathroom after a fight. Broken mirror, blood smeared on the wall and floor, water everywhere, probably unrelated to the fight, and a lot of bloody tissues in the sink. Oh, and there was a turd in the urinal. I hope that was unrelated to the fight. In 8th grade we went on a class trip to Hershey Park. 2 girls gave a guy a blowjob on the bus ride home next to a sleeping chaperone. They eventually got caught and that's why there are now no co-ed buses in the district. This was also in 2002. A sophomore at my school gave a freshman a donut filled with cum. He got criminal charges. Edit, I have no idea what the charges were. I do know that he got fired from his job and expelled. I don't know much else besides the sophomore was dating the freshman's friend. Also, I have never seen Van Wilder or any of the other movies people are suggesting. Had a guy run through the school completely naked. High school by the way. Even ran up and slapped some teacher's ass. Haven't heard of them since, but they was like 5+ years ago. The dudes from the class where I was from before I changed classes, started doing group masturbating sessions in the locker room before or after pee. That shit smelled like rotten oysters after. The next class was always because of the smell. Oh man, I've got a good one for this. So I'm in HS theater class and have been helping the teacher out with a lot of tasks like setting up the green room and stuff, just little helpful stuff. Well, apparently one of us left the door unlocked and unattended for a little too long. In our green room were 2 big blue couches that were the most uncomfortable things I had ever sat on. Teacher comes running into the room from the hall and says suddenly, "Tequila, I think someone is in the green room. Go with me so I can have a witness." Thinking nothing of it, I go. We stand by the door and someone is most deaf in there, making some pretty unusual sounds. I realize what the sound is a half second before the teacher throws the door open to 2 kids from my class getting down on that couch. I only had like 2 seconds of view time before the teacher screams, "Good golly, Miss Molly," and slams the door. I sat outside that door crying from laughing for about 20 minutes before they knocked on the door to be let out, realizing we had the stage completely locked down. The look on their faces when the principal let them out and led them to his office will forever be in my mind. Can you imagine? Balls deep about to blow and from over your shoulder, "Good golly, Miss Molly." I dream of it sometimes and still wake up laughing. Edit, words are hard.
This is Reddit Joe channel, and don't forget to hit subscribe down below for more upcoming videos.